And an incident occurred at BAFTA that has sent people into a flurry, into a tizzy, so to speak. And Draker put out a video on it. And I can think of no better person that we can listen to commentary about than Drinker on this. I'm sure he's going to go into it as to what happened and why. This is so incredibly stupid and racist, it's not even funny. And it's going to have you looking at certain people in perhaps a different light. So let's take a listen, just buckle up on this one.
You know, normally I'd greet the prospect of the BAFTAs, basically a low-rent British version of the Golden Globes with a bunch of celebrities that nobody in America's ever heard of, with about as much enthusiasm as a 3-day corporate seminar about correct spreadsheet usage. But then something strange happened. Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were up on stage presenting an award when someone in the audience shouted a very naughty word. A word that I absolutely can't and won't play here on YouTube for obvious reasons, but... well, you get the picture. I mean, credit to Lindo and Jordan on this one, they probably had no fucking idea what was going on, but they were both absolute pros and carried on with the show like nothing.
By the way, he can't say it, I'm not going to say it, but basically, someone in the audience yelled out the N-word. That is what happened, is a member of the audience yelled out the N-word twice. Like rapid succession, twice in rapid succession. That's what happened. However, there is a backstory to this. Okay? Don't go schizo, don't go crazy on this yet. There is a backstory and a reason why this happened. And it's not what you might think if you're not already familiar with the situation.
It happens. But who would do such a thing, and why? Well, the man in question was John Davidson, a disability rights campaigner who was in the audience because the movie I Swear, based on his life story, was up for a bunch of awards. Just as a side note, by the way, seriously, go watch that movie, it's absolutely spectacular. Anyway, John suffers from Tourette syndrome, which is, and I quote, characterized by sudden, involuntary and repetitive movements and sounds, known as tics. Between 10 and 30% of people with the condition have tics that produce socially unacceptable words such as swearing, known as coprolalia, according to the Tourette's Action Charity. So in layman's terms, it can make you uncontrollably blurt out all kinds of words and phrases that you really wouldn't want to say, often at the most inappropriate of moments. There's no cure and no real way to manage it, so as you can probably imagine, it's a pretty devastating condition to have to live with. In fact...
And by the way, to put a little bit finer point on this, his particular version of Tourette's, not only has you blurt out the most inappropriate thing imaginable, it's basically your brain taking a situation and basically saying, what is the absolutely most horrific or offensive thing I can say about this? Almost like the subconscious part of your brain. Consciously, you're not aware. Consciously, a person that suffers from this is not even aware that it's happening. It is completely involuntary. Like 100% involuntary. This person is just, the guy was probably sitting there listening to them and he thought, wow, this is amazing. And instead, his brain took that, twisted it into an unrecognizable form, and ended up spewing out the N-word instead. It goes beyond, I think it goes beyond misfire, but it's just, this is something that is completely involuntary, completely against his will, and is the entire basis of why the movie that was up for multiple awards about him was being shown at BAFTA, was being awarded at BAFTA, because it was such a powerful movie about this kind of debilitating condition. So that's something to bear in mind. The man who did this in the audience was the subject of this movie that was up for multiple awards at this awards show. For a little bit of context there, that's why he was there in the first place.
Funnily enough, there's literally an entire movie showing how the condition practically destroyed his life. Host Alan Cumming was quick to explain the situation afterwards in an improvised speech that did a lot to settle things down.
You may have heard some strong and offensive language tonight. Tourette syndrome is a disability and the tics you've heard tonight are involuntary, which means the person who has Tourette syndrome has no control over their language. We apologise if you were offended.
And that might well have been the end of it, but then the internet got hold of the footage, which for some reason the BBC hadn't bothered to bleep out, and then the retardation truly began. As best I can tell, social media seems to be divided into two camps on this one. On the one side are the people who recognise how harmful and offensive the word is, but also accept that the guy who said it couldn't control himself because he suffers from a disability, and that ultimately it was just a very unfortunate situation for all concerned. But on the other hand, there was
and by the way, the people that Drinker just described are normal, rational thinking human beings. He didn't put that fine of a point on it, but that's literally whom he was referring to. He was referring to people that are just normal people who actually have proper brain and logic centers within their brain. That's who he just described. Just for clarity.
Different perspective.
There it is.
You know, it's fascinating to watch people who make it their business to get offended on behalf of others for a living, suddenly having the unstoppable force of racism slam into the immovable object of ableism and just completely lose their minds over it. Suddenly they don't have a pre-written script telling them how to think and feel, and are having to exercise their critical thinking muscles for the first time in their adult lives. And well, many of them have been found wanting.
Well, and you know what? To your point, Nux Guy, yes, he does. Ethan Klein is another perfect example. And I've mentioned this before. Every time we've watched Ethan Klein, like a clip from his, I point that out. Ethan Klein does have Tourette's. It takes in the form of, I think, sniffing. He does hand movements. He does, like, I think if memory serves, he, like, clenches his jaw. So yes, Ethan Klein is also a sufferer of Tourette's. Fortunately, his Tourette's does not take the form of just involuntarily saying some of the most offensive things imaginable. His tics are limited to hand jerks, facial twitches, and I think some verbal tics too, but not actually speaking words. I think, I could be mistaken about this, I think he maybe makes some like small little noises. Yeah, sniffing, jerking, head movement, hand movement. That's basically how his Tourette's presents itself. He does not have the involuntary swearing or offensive language. Yes, it's why I believe that is part of the tic as well. Why he coughs, so why it seems like he coughs on. I do believe that is one of the tics that presents with his Tourette's. So he's very fortunate in that respect that that his tics don't present in the forms of just being saying verbally offensive things consistently.
Their adult lives, and well, many of them have been found wanting.
Well, isn't this a
big surprise?
Oh my
God. Oh, fuck. Oh, good God.
Such as everyone's favorite.
I'm sorry, every time I see this broad on my screen, I have to ask the question, how long ago did she shove her finger into the light socket? Like, her hair looks so blown out and fried every single time I see her. Like, honey, there is this thing, this brand new invention that's available to not just women, but everyone. It's called conditioner. Use some. For the love of all that is holy, get some conditioner in that hair, please. This is Grace Randolph. She is an SJR moron. That's who this is. She is a complete SJR. all she does is just and scream about current thing that the SJRs do not like. And she doesn't have brain one in her head.
At Bad Take Factory, Grace Randolph, who I'm still not entirely convinced is a real person and not just some half-finished malfunctioning AI that somehow escaped into the real world, but whatever.
Fair enough on that.
Her initial take on the situation. No matter how Tourette's works, that the BAFTAs subjected Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo to that is outrageous and shameful.
Okay. This statement is so stupid, we have to break it down. We have to dissect this. Number one, no matter how Tourette's works. So Grace Randolph basically just said, if you have Tourette's syndrome, I don't care. I don't care to understand how it works. You are a piece of human garbage to me if you have Tourette's. So she basically just told every single person in the world with Tourette's, fuck you, you're not human. You are subhuman, and you should not be in society. That's basically how this is presented. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about how this debilitating condition manifests or affects the lives of people that are afflicted by it. So yeah, very DEI of you, bitch. Second, the BAFTAs subjected Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo to that. So again, Blaine Trust Randolph can't handle the fact that Tourette's is not something that is pre-planned. She's pretending like this was pre-planned. That she's acting like BAFTA actually told this gentleman with Tourette's, okay, when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo get on stage, yell racist shit at them. That's what this is saying. This is her insinuating that BAFTA actually caused this to happen. Instead of it being a Tourette's-induced moment that the victim of Tourette's has zero control of, did not plan to do, and unfortunately it happened, which is the whole point of the movie that is about his life. Well, essentially, yeah, she's acting like BAFTA. Yeah, essentially, she's acting like BAFTA staged it or something, which is the only reason why she would say the word subjected, is she's implying that BAFTA did this deliberately. That is a brain-dead take, the likes of which are just indescribable. You have no brain, Grace. Your brain has gone off to meet its maker. It's a stiff. And you're an idiot.
You know, I'm actually used to people suddenly becoming experts in subjects they have no direct experience with and haven't bothered to do a single minute of research on the moment there's a bit of political posturing to be done, but it's actually kind of refreshing to have someone openly profess their boundless ignorance like it's some kind of virtue. The thing is, Grace...
Well, that boundless ignorance and boundless racism. Because let's call it how it is. She was calling the white guy with Tourette's racist. Call it like it fucking is. That's what these people do. She was calling the white guy with the disorder that results in him not being able to control what he says racist. Like, say it with your whole chest, Grace. Don't sugarcoat it. Like, put your big curl panties on and call it like you think, like what you actually think. Don't be shy now.
It's actually quite important how Tourette's works in this case, because how it works is literally the reason this whole situation happened in the first place. It's like a little demon on your shoulder that can suddenly take control of your body whenever it feels like it, and force you to say and do things you absolutely don't think or feel. But hey, who cares about the details, right? She wasn't finished yet.
Well, and more so than that. It kind of actually goes beyond that. It's not simply just making you say and do things you don't normally feel. It's actually taking a situation, your brain going, what is the most horrible thing I can say in this situation? What is the most offensive thing or the most racist thing that I could say in this situation, and then forces the mouth to say said horrible and racist thing. When the high function of the brain is saying, I don't want to do this, the Tourette's part of the brain is saying, I don't fucking care. You're saying it. You don't get a choice. That's putting a bit more of a finer point on it. Why is the N-word treated like Avada Kedavra? Well, because realistically, it was originally used that way. Like, I could go into a very long-winded diatribe about the use of the N-word in the modern day. I'm not going to, but basically the thing is, it was originally used as a racial slur. I view it as that, which is why I will not say it. But then you have actual Black people that will use it like a comma, and it's totally fine. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not going to call someone down to the carpet for using it, but it's kind of a bullshit double standard that I don't agree with at all. I don't agree with people in the Black community calling each other the N-word and saying, oh yeah, we're taking it back, when if a non-Black person says it, they will kill them. And that's not hyperbole. It's a level of hypocrisy that is staggering. And it should not be permitted. Either it's an offensive racial slur, or we've moved past this and taken it back, and it's no longer a racial slur. Pick one. Pick one or shut the fuck up. It's literally simple as that. Because I'm sorry, if people in the Black community will kill a white person because they say the N-word, that's a problem, and it should be removed from the language then, if that's how they're going to treat it. They don't get to say it like it's a comma and kill someone because they said it and they don't happen to be Black. Sorry, no, it doesn't work that way. You don't like it, then you don't use it either. End of conversation.
Either. Oh no, the retardation was in full flow with this one. Tourette's means no filter, which means this man thought it. Despicable.
Oh my God, she has got one brain cell left in her head, and it's going, it's dark in here, and I may die. No, you stupid bitch. Tourette's does not mean no filter, which means he thought it. It means that he is aware of the word. Yeah, maybe he has heard the word, and therefore the word is bouncing around in his brain in terms of general knowledge. Yes. It doesn't mean that when Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo walked on the stage, the first thought that entered into his head was, ooh, look, N-words. No, that's not how it works. She is deliberately and completely misconstruing what Tourette's is, which is ironic because the film about this man's life, showcasing how impossible it is to live his life with this condition, won several awards at the BAFTAs. And she's just basically saying, I don't care. That's what this means. This means that she does not care that this man has this debilitating condition that an entire fucking movie was made about. That's how retarded this bitch is. That's how racist this bitch is. I'm calling flat out, Grace Randolph is being racist against this man. Flat out, she is being racist against him.
BAFTAs out here making fools of themselves in the entertainment industry.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Honestly, Grace, there's only one person making a fool of themselves in this case, and it's not the BAFTAs. The real problem with people like Grace, though, is that they can't understand neurodivergent thinking. For all their high-minded talk of tolerance, empathy, and understanding, they really can't seem to form a mental map of any mind that operates differently from their own. That's why they can't conceive that people might have different opinions from them, different worldviews, or in this case, different ways of processing words and thoughts. Davidson himself even explained the situation the day after the ceremony, saying he was deeply mortified if anyone considers my involuntary tics to be intentional or to carry any meaning.
And that's the hardship of this man's life. Think about it. He is constantly having to say this. Throughout all of his life, he has had to constantly say this to people. That literally, like every other word or every few words that comes out of his mouth, he has to say, I'm deeply, like paraphrasing, deeply mortified if you consider my involuntary tics to be intentional or to carry any meaning, and I don't mean it. I cannot control this. I wish to God that I could. I'm living in hell having to live like this. He's had to probably say this all his life, and it must be terrible. He must live in hell having to try and live with this. And constantly having to apologize. This guy probably apologizes more than what the stereotypical Canadian would. That's his life. I can only imagine what he goes through on a daily basis. I can only imagine it because it has to be it has to be devastating to live his life like this. Absolutely devastating. Oh, yes, they were aware he was there. The film that was winning awards was about his life. That's why he was there. He walked the red carpet. They were aware he was there. They just don't care. Because it's far easier and it's far more rewarding for them to virtue signal and gaslight and scream at the racist white man than to go, oh, he's someone that I should be sympathetic to. Because that's how these people operate. Instead of being sympathetic, it's far more profitable for them to attack. Because that's what this is all about. This is Grace Randolph deliberately misconstruing what happened for clout. She's doing this so she can get clout on X and Twitter, and it's so she can drive views to her YouTube channel to make ad revenue. She doesn't care. She saw the situation and she immediately thought, honey. And so she made her video, and it probably got a fuck ton of clicks on it. And she doesn't give a fuck that she's basically capitalizing on a poor guy's neuro disability. That is and is like trying to turn him into a pariah. She doesn't care because she's getting money from it with her videos.
I've spent my life trying to support and empower the Tourette's community and to teach empathy, kindness and understanding from others, and I'll continue to do so. I chose to leave the auditorium early into the ceremony as I was aware of the distress my tics were causing. Literally, the guy was fucking mortified.
So he actually is like, okay, this is bad. He did the adult thing and said, it's not working. We tried. This is going to be disruptive. Even though the movie that's winning awards is about me, I'm going to remove myself from the situation for others. He literally selflessly said, I will remove myself from the situation so I don't make everyone else uncomfortable. Look, that's not good enough for people like Grace Randolph. No, they want to roast him on a freaking witch's pyre. Because people like her think that he should be burned at the stake.
By what had happened and left just in case it happened again. But I guess that still wasn't good enough for the middle-aged liberal white woman who makes it her business to be offended on behalf of the rest of the world. Back to Mr. Davidson. Considering he knew this was a horrible word he shouted out uncontrollably, he should have done everything he could to keep this from happening.
Box. Put her in the box. She needs to go in the box. If she is going to be this grotesquely disingenuous and basically shout down at someone who has no control, that literally he could not have done anything to keep it from happening. People with Tourette's, there is no such thing as doing everything you can to stop it. That's literally what here's the stupidity of her statement. She starts with, considering he knew this was a horrible word, he shouted out uncontrollably. She admits, see, this is where the bullshit comes into play. She actually admitted it's uncontrollable. She acknowledged that his Tourette's is uncontrollable. So she's acknowledging there's nothing he can do to stop it. And in the next breath, he should have done everything to stop it. When right before admitted that there's nothing he could do to stop it. Put this bitch in a box. Put her in the asylum. But literally, she needs to go into the asylum. She does not, if she cannot understand basic language like this, where she will Slur admit that it's uncontrollable and then a breath later say he should have controlled it, Grace Randolph does not have a grip on reality. She has no grip on reality, so put her in the box, put the movie in front of her face, put her in a box, put her in a straitjacket, secure her to a chair, put the little, open up her eyes. Give her, she needs the Clockwork Orange treatment. She needs the Clockwork Orange treatment, strapped to a chair, eyes forced open, with the movie based on this gentleman's life played on loop in front of her eyes. Make her watch his story. Let her see what it's like to live with this condition. Since clearly she does not understand basics of reality, it needs to be forcibly injected into her eyes. It's literally simple that. If she's going to go this route, then she's going to learn. Then she needs to be learned on this. Let's get her learned on this. Have her watch this movie on loop for 24 hours. I betcha she'd change her tune after that. If she just watched this movie over and over again, by the end of it, she'd be like, okay, I get it.
It's telling that he voluntarily left the event after this, as he, on his own accord, could tell what he had done was horrible. Of course, Mr. Davidson deserves to attend a ceremony where a film about...
You don't believe that. She doesn't believe this at all. This is a lie. She doesn't think this at all. Because if she actually thought this, she wouldn't have said this or this. So, this is a fucking lie. Every word in this sentence is a lie.
It is being celebrated, but as he preaches understanding and responsibility, I wish he'd demonstrated those same things himself last night. Fuck.
No. How was he supposed to demonstrate understanding and responsibility on something he cannot control? Oh yeah, she absolutely got community noted, are unable to control what she says, which, again, she admitted to. I'm still going to point this out, where Grace Randolph is talking out of both sides of her ass. She admitted in the first sentence that she knows Tourette's is uncontrollable. She flat out admitted it. But because she needs those sweet, sweet SJR clicks, likes, and ad revenue, she's going to dumpster on him to drive more. She does understand. When I was talking about she doesn't understand how reality works, she understands how reality works. She doesn't care how reality works. That's the difference. She's saying all this because she wants to generate interest in her video. All of this is performative for her base audience of SJRs, because she knows when she says this, they're going to click on the post, and they're going to click on her video where she also starts lambasting this poor man for not controlling what is uncontrollable. She is, a grifter. This is unlike what we've seen before in that other video that doesn't know that guy that doesn't know grifting the same as life. This is grifting. This is Grace Randolph is 100% grifting right here. Flat out lying to drive attention to her YouTube channel so people can watch her video where she waxes vomit-inducing words on how she is such a good ally and that this man is a racist and should never have been allowed to attend the BAFTA where the movie about his own life was being given an award. She's a grifting cunt.
Fucking what?
What you just said
Yes.
is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Well, isn't this a big surprise?
I fucking can't with this woman, man. I just about had a
Yep.
fucking stroke trying to make sense of this word salads.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Either way,
Yes.
though, the question I would ask you in this case, Grace, is what would you have had him do? Voluntarily exclude himself from the biggest moment of his entire life, where his own life story was being honoured and people were finally recognising the struggles you've been going through for decades? Shit, man, why stop there? Maybe we should just put all the people with disabilities in their own separate area so they don't ruin things for the fine, upstanding folks like you. I'm pretty sure there's a word for that kind of thing, but for the life of me, I just can't seem to place it.
Gee,
You know,
yeah.
all this does make me wonder if Grace and people like her even care about any of this stuff, if they're genuinely offended by the language that was used that night, or if they...
Simple answer, no. They're performatively offended. A lot of these people are performatively offended because they're looking for attention. The vast majority of people on social media that act offended like this are not actually, are not truly offended like they pretend to be. They are performing for an audience of the internet. They want attention. They want clicks. They want likes. They want comments saying slay queen. That's why they do it. They don't actually care. Because what happens is they will re-scream about thing that I care about for a day or two. And then they move on to the next thing I care about and start re-screaming on it. In the end, they don't care. They're looking to get that dopamine hit by posting something angrily about this is so offensive, don't you agree with me, and having a shit ton of likes, a shit ton of quote retweets, a shit ton of comments saying, absolutely, this is horrible, you're absolutely right, you're a wonderful person. They are desperate for that dopamine hit, and in Grace Randolph's case, desperate for that sweet, sweet ad revenue from YouTube. That's what it predominantly is with the vast majority of these people.
just love the drama, the chance to virtue signal online for some cheap and hollow validation, the little rush of power that comes from shaming someone into making an apology. I'll let you decide. Personally, when it comes to this complete shit show and everything around it, I believe that both things can be true. You can recognise that words like this have a long and harmful history, but also demonstrate a bit of understanding and maturity towards a man who struggled with moments like this his whole life. Maybe if there's one thing to be taken from all of this, it's that films like I Swear are more important than ever, and maybe, just maybe, we haven't come quite as far in our acceptance of differences as we'd like to believe.
As
Anyway,
they'd like to believe.
That's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Key point of note at the end there. All of the people that are preaching DEI, we have to be inclusive. We have to love people that are different from us. We have to accept people that are different from us. Those were the first people that jumped on this man. Think about that. The ones that are all about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that equity for all, were the first ones to jump on this man and call him a racist and punch down on him and beat him over the head with their supreme righteousness. Because it's always that. Because they're because they're performatively inclusive. Okay, it's all performative. It means nothing. And I'm actually surprised Drinker didn't. Hi, Skybrows. Welcome in. Hi. Okay, I need to make this one point. I'm actually surprised Drinker didn't bring up Jamie Foxx. Because Jamie Foxx and Skybrows, yet your performance is fantastic, by the way. Loving every minute of it. But let me see if I can find it. Jamie Foxx also did this. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find his post. Let me find it. Where is his post? Here we go. I think I found it. Let's see. Yeah, okay. That. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I found it. I'm actually legitimately surprised that Jamie Foxx that he didn't bring up Jamie Foxx. Because we're okay. I can't find his actual post, but there was an Instagram post showing the incident in question. Okay? There was an Instagram post showing that incident in question, and DJ, don't go anywhere. And Jamie Foxx actually commented on it and said, nah, he meant that shit. Unacceptable. So, like, Jamie Foxx literally said, yes, this poor man with Tourette's and cannot, the fact that John Davidson cannot control what is being said. A literal movie, a BAFTA award-winning movie, was made about him, which is why he was in attendance because that movie was receiving awards. And Jamie Foxx says, oh no, he meant to actually use a racial slur against them. Completely ignoring the man's Tourette's in its entirety. Jamie Foxx literally just said that John Davidson, the man with Tourette's, now he doesn't have Tourette's, he absolutely meant that. He's absolutely racist and he meant that. Like, I'm sorry, fuck Jamie Foxx. Fuck him. Jamie Foxx is a racist. Actually, no, he's not even, it's beyond that. He's a piece of shit. Jamie Foxx is a piece of shit. Because he couldn't even be asked to even have a modicum of little understanding about a man whose life of living with Tourette's was literally on screen for the BAFTAs. And he basically did what he does in that movie because that's his life. And Jamie Foxx basically calls him racist. Fuck you, you racist asshat. I've never watched a lot of Jamie Foxx stuff before. I've never listened to his music. You can be goddamn sure I'm not going to watch or listen to anything he fucking does now. I don't ever want to see Jamie Foxx on my fucking screen. Fuck him. I hope he loses work for I hope he loses work because of this. I hope that there's backlash against Jamie Foxx for doing this to a man with a debilitating condition like Tourette's. And I hope that the studios go, yeah, we can't hire him for a while. We can't hire him for a while because he's basically being racist towards white people. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because Hollywood's racist towards white people themselves. But I hope he loses work for this. Would serve him right. And I'm actually a little surprised Draker didn't talk about it either. That honestly surprises me a little bit. But it is what it is.